Shalom. Our Torah portion for this week is Lech L'cha. And at the very beginning of this Torah portion, God commands Avram. Now this Avram, who would later become known as Abraham, to leave his father's home, to leave his native land, and to set out for a land that he had never seen. He simply, on faith, follows God's command to Lech L'cha. Now, which is often translated as to go forth, but in reality, in a literal sense, it actually means to go toward yourself. In chapter 13, Abraham's journey is mentioned in the plural, that is journeys, and I think it teaches us a rather an important lesson. Let's take a look at it in the Hebrew. V'Avraham kaved me'od ba'mikneh ba'kesev uv v'zahav v'yelech lema'asav minegev ad Beit El ad makom asher hayasham ohalo batchila bein Beit El uvein ha'ai. So Abram went up from Egypt with his wife and all that was his, and Lot with him, to the south. Now Abram was very laden with livestock, silver and gold. He proceeded on his journeys from the south to Beit El, to the place where his tent had been at first, between Beit El and Ai. Now, it's interesting to note that Abraham, in his journeys, had become wealthy. He had acquired servants, he had acquired large herds and flocks, and a lot of silver and gold. And he doubles back on his journey, and he camps in the same places where he had camped originally when he first set out on his journey. Now the Talmud in Tractate Arachin praises Abraham for this. Abraham did not change the places where he lodged. Now certainly when he first started out on his on this quest, he had very little, and he camped out in rather modest places. But after he became wealthy, he goes back to those places. He didn't change his lifestyle at all. He kept his lifestyle rather simple, and he's praised for this. So often when people do acquire affluence, when people become wealthy, they change their lifestyle. And certainly that would be expected when someone comes into money. But when one changes one's values, and Arichin, incidentally, that tractate in the Talmud that speaks in a very praiseworthy manner of Abram here, means values. What is indicated here is that his affluence did not change his lifestyle, and it did not change his values. We are told that Abraham, even though he camped in the same places, he opened his tent on all sides to welcome wayfarers, sojourners, guests into his tent. He did not change. One of my favorite books that I've read over the years was a book called Fire in the Belly by Sam Keen. Sam Keen is a man who started off in life from rather modest conditions. He was a poor kid who grew up in the Philadelphia area. Eventually, he became a famous author and a professor at Harvard University. Now, one thing that he always liked doing as a young man, his favorite automobile was a pickup truck. That's all he could afford as a young man. When he moved into the affluent neighborhoods in the Boston area, everyone expected him to buy a fancy car. And he said that just wasn't him. He was a pickup truck kind of driver. And he said there were a lot of people raised their eyebrow at him. Why? You, a university professor, a professor at an Ivy League school, why don't you live up to that image? And he said, but I haven't changed. I'm the same Sam I was before I was famous, before I was wealthy. Think about this. What if you were to come into a lot of money? How would it change your life? Would it change your lifestyle? Would it change your value? Would it change your relationships with other human beings? It's a very interesting question. As we see in this Torah portion, wealth and affluence did not change Abraham. Well, I hope that you read this week's Torah portion and come to your own conclusions. Shabbat Shalom.
أبا الشمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك عينني أبا الشمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك عينني لا دعيتك نصب الليل عينني بالباكري لا دعيتك نصب الليل عينني بالباكري لا دعيتك نصب الليل عينني بالباكري